My name is Schumaker. We're here at the We Won't Go Back rally in Bellingham, Washington. It's taking place today between 5 and 6 p.m.
My name is Elizabeth Pitts, and I am the Manager of Public Affairs for Mount Baker Planned Parenthood. Thank you. I would also like to thank Indivisible Bellingham for helping us organize today's rally. They have a resource list on the QR code that you'll see right over here, so feel free to take out your phone, scan that code, and there's a great wealth of resources listed there. You can also find it posted on our link tree on our Instagram. So emotions are running high, and I wish that we didn't have to be here today. But it's increasingly important that we come together as a community, unified in this outrage at this devastating reversal of our rights. The Supreme Court has taken away our federal constitutional right to abortion. This decision takes away the right to control our bodies and personal health care decisions, giving it to politicians and leaving half the country without access to safe, legal abortion. What's clear from the decision is that nothing is safe. They're coming for birth control, marriage equality, they're coming for everything. They want to turn back the clock, not just 50 years, but hundreds of years. For today, Washington State, our rights are safe. Legal abortion is protected, but with Roe overturned, we cannot take anything for granted. But there is much more at stake. The principle behind this decision is setting the stage for attempts to reverse other crucial constitutional rights, and we cannot let that happen. Know this. We will never back down. People need to control their own body, life, and future, no matter where they live. What do we want? Choice. When do we want it? Always.
What do we want?
Choice.
When do we want it?
Always.
What do we want?
Choice.
When do we want it?
Always. It's my pleasure to introduce today's first speaker, a member of Mount Baker Planned Parenthood's Board of Directors and a lifelong advocate for reproductive health and abortion care for all. Please welcome Li Qiliang.
Thanks for joining us this horrific day. It's important to be in community because for the first time in history, the Supreme Court has taken away a fundamental right from the majority of Americans. The Dobbs decision removes the federal right to abortion care and a half-century of precedent, putting everyone with a uterus at the mercy of state politicians. 6 judges, 3 appointed by the last administration, just stripped us of control of our own bodies. While Washington does have strong protections in place, 40 million people across 26 states could lose theirs by year end. Idaho just made it a felony to provide or attempt an abortion. The only exceptions, rape or incest with a police report or a threat to the patient's life. The floodgates are open for more of this. As Justice Breyer wrote, countless women will now make different decisions about careers, education, relationships than they would have when Roe served as a backstop. Closing our eyes to suffering does not make it go away. Respecting a woman as an autonomous being, granting her full equality, means giving her choice over this most consequential of life decisions. Today, the Supreme Court says a fertilized egg can mean a woman has no rights to speak of. A state can force her to carry a pregnancy to term, no matter the personal cost. As of this week, a person with an Uzi has more rights than one with a uterus. They don't want to protect life. They want to let extremist politicians commandeer our bodies based on their religious whims. Today, do you have $700 to pay for an abortion?
Fuck that, no.
Depending on when you miss your period, where you live, do you have documents letting you travel? Do you have $1,000 to drive or fly out of state, to take time off work? Do you have funds for lodging? Do you have funds for food? If you're like 60% of people who have abortions and are already parents, do you have money for childcare this whole time? States may now block leaving the state to obtain care or from receiving abortion medications. They may criminalize efforts like sharing information or providing funding for abortion. The federal government could ban abortion nationwide without exception based on this decision. 1 in 3 abortions in 2020 occurred in states poised to ban this safe medical procedure. The burden of lost access falls squarely on those with low income, about 75% of women who had abortions in 2017. Due to our legacy of racism, communities of color bear the brunt of this. Also, LGBTQ folks, immigrants, people with disabilities, those of us who society marginalizes will have even less power over our lives. Alito wrote, "We do not pretend to know how our political system or society will respond to today's decision. Let's prove him correct. We, the people, have the power to demand democracy." Let's make clear, they've underestimated the anger they've unleashed. This decision is repugnant. It's also an opportunity to flex our democratic muscles and elect people who will follow the will of the vast majority and support abortion. Let's show them we're serious. They certainly are. Clarence Thomas wrote, "We should reconsider all of the court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, Obergefell." He put everything on the table. Same-sex marriage, who you have sex with, birth control. Oklahoma and Texas-style sue thy neighbor bans broaden the scope of how communities will be policed. Visible minorities know the danger of vigilante neighbors. The stakes are real for the 14-year-old and her father who drove to New Mexico from Texas so she could have options he missed when he became her dad at 16. For women experiencing miscarriage, who could have their grief compounded by criminal prosecution? Today results from a decades-long plan aiming to turn the clock back to 1950 or the 1700s. We won't let them. Planned Parenthood will continue to connect people to care they need to stay in control of their lives. Abortion funds will continue to provide access. Mount Baker Planned Parenthood is committed to providing the full range of services for everyone who comes to our doors. We grieve today, but we fight tomorrow. We won't go back. Demand democracy and demand our rights.
Thank you, Lichi. Next, we're going to hear from a local high school student, Neva Perez. Please welcome Neva.
Hi, everybody. My name is Neva Perez.
I use she, they pronouns, and I am approaching my senior year at Bellingham High School. I am a peer sex educator on Planned Parenthood's Whatcom Teen Council. In 1991, my mom was on the front lines getting signatures to pass Initiative 120 to keep abortion safe, legal, and accessible in Washington state. Just over 30 years later, we are in the same spot, fighting for the right to abortion across the nation. My generation now has less bodily autonomy than the one before us. Over this past school year, myself and 14 other teen council members taught over 1,000 students in Whatcom County about protection, preventing unplanned pregnancies, and so much more. Outside of Washington, teens won't receive this kind of comprehensive sex ed, and they need access to safe abortion care. It enrages me to think about young teens who are not properly educated and are forced to bear a child. I think about myself in the same situation. Like most teens, I work a minimum wage job. I spend most of my time on school, and someday I hope to become a doctor. If I was forced to have a baby right now, I wouldn't be able to support it. I'm not old enough to rent an apartment, and even if I was, I wouldn't be able to afford it. All of my goals and aspirations would be derailed. And on top of this, I would face the unjust stigma our America has built around teen parents. I have a lot of empathy and pride for teen parents, and I'm constantly impressed by what some can accomplish while faced with these roadblocks and adversity. But teen pregnancy is not a one-size-fits-all, and some just can't or don't want to make it work, and that should be okay. Because my body does not exist as a vessel for pregnancy, and neither does anyone else's. It's hard to believe we're back fighting this same fight, one that many of us probably took for granted. But what can we do? Voting is important and something we all have to do, but our job doesn't end at the ballot. Our elected officials need accountability, and that accountability comes from us. I urge you to stay vocal. Even if you can't vote yet, you can contact your legislators and demand they keep fighting to maintain our rights and advocate for others. You can also share your story or why this is important to you, to your elected officials, your friends, your family, and urge them to host these conversations too. We can't afford to be silent when our constitutional rights are being revoked. Be the louder voice. Stand up and fight back. 20 years, Jen Mason has been a powerful local voice advocating for sexual health, freedom, and safety. She is the owner of Wink Wink, an inclusive, here's Wink Wink. Wink Wink is an inclusive, independent sex shop that offers information and education to people of all ages. She has also served as an elected member of the Bellingham School Board since 2017. Welcome, Jen Mason.
Okay, I'm way down here. All right. Thank you. Thank you to Planned Parenthood for organizing this rally, and thanks to all of you who managed to get out of bed this morning and chose to be in community. So a big round of applause for just existing right now. I am here today as a pro-choice mom, and I'm also here today as somebody who has experienced the tremendous relief of having an abortion 18 years ago. And if you have had an abortion, I want you to know that you don't owe anybody your story, and you also don't owe anybody your silence. You get to do with that information whatever you want to do. This is the first day of my life that I woke up and Roe v. Wade was not the law of the land. And if you are under 49 years old, this was the first day for you too. Make no mistake though, every day since January 22nd, 1973, anti-abortion lawmakers have been working towards this day. They tried to make the lives of people seeking abortion and people providing abortions so hellish that we would stop on our own, and we didn't. Healthcare professionals continued to provide abortions even when their lives were being threatened, and sometimes when those same healthcare professionals were killed, the rest carried on. Staff continued to unlock the doors of health clinics across the nation. Receptionists continued to answer the phones even while being badgered by protesters. Volunteers continued escorting patients through hostile crowds in cities all across the U.S. just so people could access this routine medical procedure. Today is a day of all the things, but I think it should also be a day of gratitude, because we would not have made it 49 years if not for all of the people who put their lives on the line to get us here where we are. If it feels like today is more than about abortion, that's because it is. It's about a lot of things. And the one thing that it's not actually about is saving children. You do not get to say that you are in the business of saving children when you are also fighting against Medicaid expansion in your state. You don't get to say you're saving children when you supported abortion trigger laws, but you did absolutely nothing about gun reform for 28 years until this morning, even as children were being killed. It should come as no surprise that the same lawmakers who are anti-abortion are also anti-trans, anti-sex worker, anti-indigenous, anti-black, anti-disability, and anti-immigrant. What they call values, we call bigotry. And that's because what the anti-abortion movement is actually about is deciding that there is only one valid way to be a human. They believe that they have the right to decide who we can sleep with, who we can love, who we can marry, what a family is, and what we can do with our bodies. This is not an anti-abortion movement. This is an anti-freedom movement. And if we don't watch out, they will come back to take more. Today, the Supreme Court decided that state law can decide whether abortion is legal. But let me tell you, the law may decide what is illegal, but it does not decide what is moral and what is just and what is right. And we decide, and when the law is unjust, we fight for justice. That means donating to candidates that are fighting for abortion access. That means volunteering. That means voting in every single race, in every single election, even the boring ones. It means continuing to support Planned Parenthood and other organizations that will continue to fight for individuals to have access, and will also be advocating on the local, the state, and the federal level. This is a sad and enraging day. It's kind of all the things. I literally have all the things tattooed on my arm because of days like today. As much as I encourage you to be hard on issues, I encourage you to be soft on yourself and soft on others. I encourage you to work through your own hang-ups around sex and sexuality. Because those who do not really believe in their own right to be free will never really believe in other people's right to be free either. As we look ahead, we have to be prepared to fight, but we cannot become so immersed in fighting that we become afraid to win. We have to be able to hold celebration with suffering. We have to be able to hold grief with joy. We have to have guts, but we also have to have grace. Remember that in the face of pain, pleasure is resistance. In a culture that values grinding, rest is revolutionary. And in the face of a bigoted movement that says there's only one way to be a person, that being exactly who you are is an act of rebellion, even if it's only safe to do so in your own head. Your existence is defiance. You are valid, you are worthy, and we are all worthy of whatever it is that we have to do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And let's give it up for all of our speakers that showed up here today. Yeah. And again, thank you all for showing up. For more information on how you can get involved and take action, please visit the table back there across the street safely. So around you'll be able to find QR codes with links to local organizations and other upcoming events. So make sure to sign up with the groups here today to stay engaged and informed. Indivisible Bellingham will be organizing an upcoming action rally for the community, probably in early to mid-July. So please be checking social media and event pages for updates. Again, you can see the QR codes over here, so you can take out your phone camera to scan for that resource list and sign up for any other information so that you know when to be where. If you aren't already registered to vote, you have the ability to do so today. So check out that at the tables as well. Elections are coming up and our communities are at risk. So make your voice heard by electing representatives that will fight for the protections of our rights, and remember to hold them accountable for their promises. Now, I invite everyone to join us in expressing our intent to fight this decision at every turn. We'll have folks in the crowd leading chants, and if you haven't yet grabbed signs or swag, please do so. The time to act is now.
Stick together.